Assalamualaikum everyone. Today we're gonna solve the Fizz Buzz problem. It might sound funny, but it's a great example how programming logic can be applied to solve unique challenges. So let's get started. First of all, we need to understand the problem statement. Okay, we have given an integer n, return a string array, answer, one indexed where we have answer of I, Fizz Buzz. If I is divisible by 3 and 5 and answer of I Fizz is equal to Fizz if I is divisible by 3 and answer of I is equal to Buzz if I is divisible by 5 and answer of I will be I as a string if none of those above conditions are true. Alright. So our task is so simple. For a given range of numbers from 1 to n that we have input as a 3. So we need to run our loop to solve this problem from 1 to n plus 1. Okay, so very easiest code I have solved for you guys. So let's try to understand how our code will be working. In my code, first of all, I take an empty array for the output because here's mentioned that return type should be list in a string and we have an input in integer. Now I'm gonna using for loop and for I in range from 1 to n plus 1. We start by initializing an empty list called array to store our results. Then we iterate through the range from numbers 1 to n by using the for loop. Certainly we use here n plus 1. So why we use it? We use to ensure that loop iterate from 1 to n inclusive by covering all the entire range of numbers including n because generally we have because normally the range function will do that first parameter is including and the second parameter is excluding. So to include the whole number n, we need to add we need to add 1 with n. Okay, this is necessary to include to maintain the sequence when solving the Fizz Buzz problem. Inside this loop, we have to use a conditional statement to check if current number is I is divisible by 3 and 5. So if it's true, then it will append the Fizz Buzz to the array. Alright, so let's try to implement that. If I is divisible by 3, and here is a formula of complete division, and we use and for both statement, that if both statements will be true, then whole condition will be true. If any of them will not true, then whole condition will be false. Alright, just keep it in mind. Okay, and here we go. Okay, if both conditions are satisfied, then what we need to append Fizz Buzz in array as a string. Alright, Fizz Buzz. Perfect. And in the second condition, if I is not divisible by both are only divisible by 3 and condition will be true, then we append the Fizz only Fizz to the array. Alright, let's say I just write it, if I is divisible by only 3, then append Fizz into the array. Similarly, if I is only divisible by 5, then we append the buzz to the array. If none of above the conditions are met, then we simply append a string representation of I to array. Alright. So I mentioned here I is completely divisible, sorry, by 5. So append buzz into the array. So lastly, we need else statement. In else condition, we simply return the I as a string. Alright, so what is the code to write here? Append r dot append. For type conversion, we need str here for string. Okay, perfect. Now finally the function returns the array containing the Fizz Buzz sequence. So outside the loop, we just write a return statement that return array. Try to run this code. After that we will implement this on example, and the global name are okay. Where is a mistake? Okay, there is a mistake. Let's run it again. Okay, what is the problem? It's 3 and I. Okay, we are facing an issue that we should use Aleph here instead of if I'm not wrong. Let's try to do that and let's see what will happen. Yeah, here is a mistake. Now we have solved this problem. Okay, let's try to implement the code on this example. We have an input n and output is 1, 2, quiz, 4, buzz. Okay, so we have an empty array. Okay, for this loop, it will iterate on this number from 1 to n plus 1. First of all, for 5, we have number starting from 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. So divisible by 3 and divisible by 5. And I is not divisible by 3 and not divisible by 5. So here is the else statement. The str of I, now we need to append, we need to store in array like that. Okay, so let me write it here. Okay, so we have only one element for now. After that, it will run on 2. After that, this for loop will run on number 2. It will check this condition 3 and 5. Okay, it's not correct. Then it will go to the else statement and it will append 2 as a string. It will check if I is divisible by 3 or 5. Yes, I is divisible by 3, but not completely 2 because it's not fulfilling the requirement. If we use AND, then we need to check that what condition should be true. Okay, so we'll check Aleph. I is divisible by 3, and what is I? 3, and 3 is divisible, completely divisible by 3. So we need to append Fizz in our array. So here is Fizz. Okay, I will write it here. Fizz, just ignore my writing. Okay, Fizz appended here. Okay, let's move on and we will check for 4. Not true, not true, not true. And we need to store I as a string in array. After that, the last element is 5. It will check this I, which is 5, is divisible by 3 and 5. This statement is correct, but this is not. So if condition is not satisfied, then we will check further. It's wrong. Yeah, it's correct. 5 is completely divisible to the 5. So we need to append buzz in array. So here's not a space. I just write buzz here. Buzz. Okay, buzz. So here is our desired output, and the time complexity of this loop is O of n, and complexity of This code is also of n because we are using an extra space as ARR to store our elements for output. Now you have clear understanding of code, how it works and its complexities. So feel free to share your experience with different inputs and explore further. Thanks for watching. Happy coding.